don't be afraid to ask for what you want. And, I did that, and I was terrified to do it. But the more I got used to asking for what I wanted and removed the Asian shame that we're all raised with, as soon as I practiced doing that and got better at doing that, I was able to steer my path where I wanted it to go. And whether it was successful or not, that's a different story, but at least I was going toward the direction I wanted to go in.
I'm excited because you said you've been cooking up some knowledge. So is there something that you feel that could change someone's life if they take everything you're about to share and really use it?
Yeah, and what I can share is...
Hey, it's your friend, John Wang, and welcome to the show, Big Asian Energy. If you're a new listener, I just want to say, personally, I welcome you, and I'm so glad you're here. And since you're listening to this, it already tells me that you're the kind of person who doesn't just want a seat at the table. You want to know how to build your own table. And this is where you belong. So if somebody shared this with you, that means that they see the builder in you. So again, welcome to the Big Asian Energy family. As always, when we rise together. So I would love to take a moment and ask you to think about this. When was the last time you were told, directly or indirectly, that there might not be space for you? Whatever industry you're in, whatever field you're in, whatever room you're in, there's something that they just didn't have you in mind. Well, my guest today is basically told that as an Asian American early on. He was told that he had a limited future on stage. So he basically, at 23 years old, built his own. His name is Don Michael Mendoza. And most of the people who know him call him Don Mike. He is the founder of DMH Mendoza Productions and the co-founder and executive producers of Latido, a production company he started from scratch in 2012 that now operates in cities across the country, produces concerts, cabarets, theatrical shows nationwide. But Don Mike also was a producer of Here Lies Love on Broadway, the first Broadway musical to tell a Filipino story with an all-Filipino cast. And when I say that some of the most legendary artists alive, I truly mean it, because this man put Filipino culture on one of the biggest stages in the world. He's also an international talent manager, a board member for multiple productions, the host of the podcast, Producing While Asian, because he understood early on that if we were not telling our own stories, maybe no one is going to tell them for us. And here's what I love about Don Mike's journey. He once said that he used to be the only in every room. And I don't know about you, but I definitely felt that before, where there's some rooms where I look around and I'm like, hey, why am I the only Asian person here? And that's exactly what you and I are getting into today. So let's take a moment. Don Mike, thank you so much for coming to Big Asian Energy and for bringing all your wisdom with us.
Thanks, John. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And it's been a moment since I've had a podcast interview. So you're getting a lot of new hot knowledge that no one has asked me about yet. So it's going to be a really good conversation. Awesome. And thank you for that intro. I really, really appreciate that. And it's so, I'm sure you've heard this before. It's so surreal when you sit and you hear somebody else say your bio and kind of their not necessarily a take, but kind of their take on what you've accomplished. And it's just whoa, that's crazy. If you're listening to it and not thinking that it's you and thinking it's someone else, you're okay, well, damn. But then you're oh my God, that's me. That's crazy. And but in the best way, or I guess wild is the word we're using now, not crazy. But it's wild. And so yeah, I'm excited to share knowledge and to, hopefully help the next person who wants to follow in both of our footsteps, because I'm glad that you and I are brothers in the podcast world too. And it's just a constant struggle to find our people, our community, our space, and an even bigger challenge to make our own space, because there's so much that pushes against us in that effort. So yeah. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I'm excited because you said you've been cooking up some knowledge during the time that since you've been on the last podcast. So why don't we jump right in there? Before we dive into anything else, tell the person listening right now, is there something that you feel that could change someone's life if they take everything you're about to share and really use it?
Yeah, and this what I can share is, it's going to sound really simple, but it's something that I know can change people's lives because it's changed mine. And it's so simple. It's the phrase, if you don't be afraid to ask for what you want. And I did that, and I was terrified to do it. But the more I got used to asking for what I wanted and removed the kind of Asian shame that we're all raised with, that, that we're looked at as rude for asking for exactly what we want rather than beating around the bush, and like dropping hints.
Right.
But as soon as I practiced doing that and got better at doing that, I was able to steer my path where I wanted it to go. And whether it was successful or not, that's a different story. But at least I was going toward the direction I wanted to go in, and kind of it helped almost like heal that shame that we all are accustomed to, because it kind of gave me autonomy and gave me control. And how I've modified that is, I say ask for what you want, and then the second half I borrowed from the illustrious Kris Jenner, and it's, if you ask for what you want and then you hear no, you're asking the wrong person. So keep asking. And so, and that's true. Like, there are people that I've talked about certain projects with and it didn't work out and I really wanted to work with them. But then when they said no, I then asked someone else and then it worked out and it led to the same place I wanted to get to. So anyway, asking for what you want, ask for it and see what comes of it. And if it's a no, ask the next person and keep going, because you're going to find the yes, and you don't have to depend on like a specific kind of yes. And what I mean by that is, like, as an actor, you're always waiting for you to be somebody else's taste. So in my seat, they have to be what I want to have.
Yeah.
Like, they have to make my interests, and that's a yes for me. So it's, just go in and don't be afraid. And
Sure.
It's, especially with a lot of listeners, I'm sure, who are probably first generation children of immigrants, or maybe even second generation, that their grandparents are the ones who immigrated here. It's okay to not do what they did, even though they want you to do what they did, because that's their only experience. They don't have anything to compare it to. So and know that there are other people just like you that, and what I discovered, growing out of the only, there are others that have the same goals. And so it's, lead with an open mind and an open heart, rather than I need to do this for myself and be selfish. It won't get you anywhere. You'll be stuck. So.
Now, I want to zero in on this. First and foremost, thank you for sharing that. And I 100% agree with you that wisdom behind not taking no for an answer, but necessarily like understanding that no is a redirection. Like that, I feel like there's such power in it, and having that courage to keep asking and keep knocking on that door. I mean, you probably are in one of those industries, and I mean, the people you manage are, they've won Emmys, they've won awards, and some of the, the biggest stars, etc. Like not taking no for an answer, I feel like in those industries are particularly hard. But for the rest of us, who are not in the entertainment industry, how do you get over that initial fear? Because I think that's really still there, right? Like, there's a fear of like, if I ask, like, well, one, like, am I allowed to ask? Do I deserve to ask? Am I worthy enough to ask? Like, those are the questions that oftentimes come up. Then, is what I'm asking for too big? Am I going to get judged? How do you get over all of those little questions that show up?
It's hard. I'd say it's really hard. I'm not going to lie about that part. Like, it's difficult. And if you are somebody who is wanting to, quote unquote, do the right thing all the time and not make mistakes, not that you're avoiding them, but like trying not to make a lot of mistakes because you're afraid of what could happen.
Mm-hmm.
It can be debilitating, because you just get caught in that rut of rethinking and reliving, like, oh, what if I did this? What if I don't do that? And you kind of put yourself in a box, and then you don't actually do the thing, right? You've spent the whole day thinking about it, and then you don't do it. So it starts before that, I think. And I think it's, if you are somebody that has an anxiety about networking, start there. Because that kind of, to me, is the prequel to being able to keep asking for that yes from different people. Because as it is a redirection, I think it also forces you to rethink your pitch in a way. Like, if you get that no, you're like, okay, well, why did they say no? and then you kind of refine it, and then you go back out and ask the next person.
Right.
But in networking, a lot of people get scared of that word, networking. It sounds so official. It sounds so scary. It sounds so like dry and like judgy and LinkedIn in your face. But like, like networking
in your face
is like pretty much like, and we'll get into a whole thing about LinkedIn. But with networking, I reimagined it as it's just meeting people. It's just meeting people. Like, don't think about what they're going to offer you. Don't think about like you have to pitch yourself a certain way. Like, just start with, "Hi, I'm Don Mike, and I'm new at this event. Like, how like what brought you here?" And then just start talking to them. And that's really all it is. Like, when I did that, oh my God, it took off like 1,000,000 pounds of pressure. And by doing that, then I was able to build a network, hence networking. And then it made making those asks so much easier. So yeah, you kind of also give yourself that flexibility.
Being the human.
Yeah, really being a little more human with them. And that's why I have a problem with LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is like literally the worst. But also it's like
I struggle with LinkedIn so much. Oh my God.
Like, I wish LinkedIn never existed. Like it's like how some people feel about Facebook, I feel about LinkedIn, where it's like, networking events are stressful enough, and there are enough annoying people at those networking events that are really like grubby and networky and look at you, and once they hear what you do and it doesn't work for them, they like move on. LinkedIn takes all of those people, puts them in one place, and then puts them in your house. And you're like, oh my God, like, get out of my inbox. Like, why are you in my inbox? Stop spam messaging me about you have this thing you want to talk to me about because you saw the one line of my online resume. Like, I can't. I can't.
My God.
So, it's, and LinkedIn is just so, it's so like fake perfect. It's so like, I promise I'm really good at my job. Like, okay.
It's a stage. Like, funny enough, like, you're coming from stage, but that's where it is. Like, we collectively decided on a shared delusion where we're all going to pretend, even though we all know that like this is not who we are, that this is how we communicate, this is the level of enthusiasm that we have, etc. And dude, it drives me wild. I remember I was at
I would rather LinkedIn just be a resume and no other feature.
Yeah.
So that way you can just see people's stuff and like then contact them and get to know them. Like at this point, I would rather look at your Facebook profile because I learn more about you in that setting than I do in your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
Because with your LinkedIn profile, I only get your best behavior. So I feel like LinkedIn is the communication on the dating app, but Facebook is the like 8th date. Like, you like know who they are, what they look like, and what they believe in, So anyway, LinkedIn. That's my
Instagram is like you're actually knowing each other, and then we go to Snapchat or wherever it is, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Snapchat is the shady ones. That's like, I'll talk to you, but you can't see it later. Anyway, so
I want to hear, because we could jam about how much we hate LinkedIn for the next 3 hours,
all day. And it's a hot take. It's a hot take. There are so many people that like get very offended when I say I hate LinkedIn.
Really?
And they're like, they're like really mad about it.
Really?
And I'm like, get out of here. Like,
get out of here. Get out of here.
Like, I can't. Anyway, so next question before everyone cancels us for hating LinkedIn.
It's fine. Let them, they could come and send all the hate mail. If you want to send us hate mail, please do so on LinkedIn. I will check in about 3 weeks. And I will probably not actually get back to you because it will probably be ungenerated. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that Big Asian Energy is officially out, and you can go and pick it up anywhere you buy books, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, etc. If you've ever felt like there's something stopping you from reaching your full potential, if you've ever felt like you want to have that unstoppable charisma and confidence in the work that you do, as well as just the way you show up in life, this might be the book for you. It is a book that is jam-packed with research studies,
advice, case studies, stories, and of course, so many different techniques and takeaways, including communication, as well as mindset, as well as confidence, and all the other topics out there. It just won one of the best books of 2025 on Amazon. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go take a look. And finally, if you have a few seconds, can I also ask you to leave a quick review for Big Asian Energy? It not only means the world to us to hear from you, but more importantly, it does absolutely help us in reaching more audiences. I hope you're having an amazing day, and thanks again.
So I want to talk about building things, because that's when I was going through and reading and doing research, the thing that really struck out to me is that Don Mike is a builder, right? Like, you started, Latido when you were 22 years old, when most people are still just trying to figure out, like, what do they want to do with the rest of their life? Where did that confidence to just start building things come from? Especially, and I'll add this, especially when you later on look at building things like Here Lies Love, right? Like, that was the first Broadway show with an all-Filipino cast. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, it was wild, and like an experience I'll never forget. And like, I'm so grateful for it, all the good, bad, and the ugly of that experience. And yeah, it's like I guess the instinct of wanting to build something, I think, goes beyond just the obvious like career stuff. So I come from a family of people that like to build things, and so my and I'll speak about it on my like mom's side of the family because it's the more relatable one. So my maternal grandfather, my mom's dad, he was, I'm not going to use the word genius because I don't know, but like, he was very smart, and he was in the Philippines in the like the 20s until 1999 when he passed away. And he was a telecommunications person. Like, he was very smart, and he was very technologically astute. And he got involved in broadcast and radio telecommunication. And so he became part of the movement that created the telecommunications industry and broadcasting in the Philippines. And so his whole life was about just focusing on building this industry in a country that it didn't exist in, because when he started doing that work, the Philippines had just said goodbye to their last colonizer, the Americans. Right. And like, they weren't even really gone. But they decided to let the Philippines alone. And so that was his entire career and everyday life, building and connecting and networking. And because of that, he built a very successful radio corporation and a television station. And he created in Tagalog, it's the name is the Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster sa Pilipinas. And what that means is it's like the fellowship of, or gathering of, broadcasters of the Philippines. So kind of like NAB here in America. So he was like a founding member of that, and that sets the standard for broadcasting in the country. So not only did I come from my grandparents and my family in the Philippines who know how to build things, and it always makes you think of that line in Crazy Rich Asians with Michelle Yeoh, like, we know how to build things that last. And so my grandfather did that. And so now, coming through my parents and being the only cousin from that side of the family who grew up here, I did that too. Like, because I watched all these people just make their own lives and livelihoods and living. And so it kind of just happened in a way. So like, leadership of creating was something that was in my system. And I think it just needed to find a place to manifest itself. And time, I'm very much a believer in timing, and, and things happen for a reason. And so there was a reason why I wasn't getting cast the way I wanted, because I was supposed to tap into this creative, I like to build energy that exists within my being. And that's where I feel like that's where it came from. And so when the opportunity finally arrived for me to do that, I think I subconsciously took advantage of it. I didn't know that that's what I was doing, but it kind of grew into that, because I thought Latido was just going to be the show that we did for fun. And like, we did it in, I say this every time, it was in the basement of a bar underneath a sex shop in Washington, D.C. That was where I started my career. And the sex shop supported the bar because it was the same owner. And he happened to be Filipino, Russwin Francisco. He's the best. And like he was like Reggie and I call him our fairy gay mother. And he just like helped us, you know, no questions asked, just believed in us 150% and provided us the space to do so. And it all just fell into place, and I wasn't looking for it, and I'm thankful for that because I was able to flex that want and that need and that skill and practice it without the fear of failing. And we did fail. We failed a lot, you know, but it was just something that I thought was just going to be a passing fad. And it blew up into this thing because we tapped into a need that market wanted and didn't exist. And then I got a reputation for organizing things, and that's how I got pulled into producing. And then producing, of course, is more building. So it's all about relationships. So, but yeah, so that's the long version to answer your question. So yeah, I come from entrepreneurship, and I think I finally manifested it. So yeah, that's where all of that comes from, and I'm proud that that's where it came from, because it's this legacy that I didn't know I was carrying till I realized it, like in the last 5 to 10 years. So it's like you don't realize,
So to paraphrase there's a sense that like I think there is a culture of builders in Asian Americans. I feel like, right? Because if you take a look at it, a lot of people are surprised at how many entrepreneurs really come from our community. And, you know, some of that entrepreneurship didn't look originally like entrepreneurship, like starting businesses, restaurants, you know, laundromats or whatever it is, right? Like those early days, like those were the early entrepreneurs, because you couldn't find a job that would accept us. Like we built things because we had to. And this is what I think is so interesting, because you later on started, you know, producing While Asian as a podcast, and you rallied people to come to you in that way. Can you walk us through like why producing While Asian? Like what was the impetus behind that?
Yeah. So this was 2020, like mid-pandemic. I remember the day my very good friend, her name is Brooks May, and she was my classmate in college, and she lived and still lives in Chicago. And at the time she was working for a podcast network called Press Play Podcasts, and RIP, the network has since closed, and we can get into that later. But if you want to see any old episodes, you can watch them on YouTube. But the actual podcast episodes are not on streaming at the moment because of the whole network closing and all that. But it's fine because we have to reformat them anyway. So it turned out to be a good thing. But you can watch the old episodes on YouTube. But the idea came from I had a blog. And it was back in like 2015, 2016 when like blogging was a thing, and like it was called, and I was living in DC. It was called Producing the District. And it was just like my way of like keeping track and keeping journals of like what I was working on, because I was doing so much. At that time in Don Mike's history, I was producing Latido, I was working a full-time job, and I was going to grad school all at the same time. So it was like, if you weren't my classmate, my family member, or in one of my shows, I didn't talk to you. Because my days were just like packed.
It wasn't personal.
So, yeah, it was one personal. It was just, if you weren't in one of those 3 boxes, I'll see you in 2018. And so it's like, wait, where was I going with this? So producing While Asian, I moved home to Pittsburgh, and of course I was no longer producing the district because I lived here. And Brooks called me and she said, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing a podcast?" And I said, "Maybe, yeah." I said, maybe there's a way to turn producing the district into some kind of a podcast. And she said, "Well, I do this job now, and like my job is to find new podcast hosts. Like, do you want to do that?" And we know each other because she and I studied broadcast journalism together. So like all the skills were already there. It's just, where would it manifest? And so I thought about it. I even did like an Instagram poll with my friends. I was like, if I was to start a podcast, being an Asian, talking about producing, what would it be called? And so it wasn't me that picked the title. The masses should have.
Fans.
The fans, my 10 fans. So the Producing While Asian title came. And in 2020, it like coincided with the time that all of the like Asian hate stuff was happening and like all of the terrible stuff that was going on with our elders. And I also was hearing, like, I guess I had been hearing this before the pandemic, but it kind of, when you get upset about something, all the trauma kind of combines like a Power Rangers Megazord, and then it's just like one big ball of anger. And so it brought me to this place where I was like, oh my God, leave our elders alone. But also, why are like non-Asian producers so annoying about like, I can't find them. Like, I can't find Asian people. I can't find an Asian to this, do that. And I think what kind of really threw that at me is, I don't remember the specific thing, but there was something that had to do with AAPI people and a decision being made by a non-AAPI person that then made this thing that they decided on racist because nobody said no, or there was not the right person. And so I was like, you know what, Producing While Asian is going to be about me saying, okay, I don't need to do this work because it should be on you, but I'm going to do it because like I feel like I have a duty to do it. So I'm going to find these people. I'm going to put them on this podcast. And if you need to find, quote unquote, whoever it is, a producer, a director, a makeup artist, an actor, well, here they are. So you don't have the excuse anymore of, oh, I couldn't find anyone. They're here. Like they're right. I'm putting them in front of you. So hire them. And each episode ends with, how do people hire you? Like, where do they find you? Like, what's your information? So that's where it started, was that kind of inspiration and frustration, frankly, about like, I'm tired of us being the like, I can't see them, I don't know where they are minority, even though we're right in front of you all day, every day. And the misconstruing of like picking one of us for another, right? Where it's like, oh, we're going to do this show. We need a cast of, and not that, obviously it should be the person who best plays the part. Yes. But like, there are just some things like Here Lies Love where it just makes more sense that everybody's Filipino in the cast, at least for now, because like the story is still going, the story is still real, that story is still happening. Like Here Lies Love is a snapshot of a longer story that's still active. And so yes, they should all be Filipino, but like
I want to hear a little bit more about this point that like it's still an ongoing story. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But, like, that was something that was on my mind. You started Producing While Asian at the time. I think there was that. Is there like, what's the conversation you feel like you're still trying to have that the mainstream industry may still not have picked up yet?
Yeah, I think it's a bigger conversation about authenticity and research. Like, it really boils down to that. It's like, you can't, I'm not gonna say you can't, but like, you can tell a story, but if you don't have that culture or that community's voice in the room, then it's just your opinion. It's not based on anything real. I think that's why, even though Here Lies Love was written by David Byrne and Fatboy Slim, who are markedly white guys, like they did their research and they made the effort, and also Alex Timbers, who our director was for Broadway, they made the effort to pull in consultants who could tell them, that's wrong, change that, that's not correct, please be sensitive about this topic. And then bringing in a cast that was all Filipino, even more so, like they could hear from this cast like, that's not so great, or like, let's lean more into this, all that. So authenticity and research, if you're not doing those two things to bring the actual voice of whoever it is, whoever's story you're telling, into the room, then we have a problem, because you can. It's not hard to find somebody in that community. Like, they don't even have to be in the industry. Just find a person from that culture that can tell you about it. It's so. I think that's so. In terms of the ongoing story part, this story, Here Lies Love, is about Imelda Marcos and the Marcos family and the People Power Revolution in the Philippines. There was not one person in the journey of this show who does not have a direct connection to that moment in history.
Oh, wow.
Whether it is their parents or grandparents were involved, or they were actually there, or that they're touching those people's families that were involved in that at the time today. Um, it's astounding how many people are connected, genuinely connected to the story within 1 to 2 degrees of it.
But
And the trauma of it still being very real, in the sense that this was about the Marcos family and the Kino family. And we're now here 40 years later, and we have the son of the dictator in office,
wow.
you know, and after the son of the guy uprising against him also served as president. So it's all still very, very real and very, you know, Imelda is still alive. She's over there doing TikToks with her grandkids. Whoa. Like, it's yeah, like you all listeners can go out and find that TikTok. It's a lot. So basically it's like, you know, and I'll keep it to myself. Like my story is, sure, my grandfather did all of that stuff, but he had to be bipartisan. He had to work both sides of the political spectrum, both progressive and conservative. And so he became very close with Marcos and Imelda. And Imelda has familial connections with my grandmother's family, and like I think my grandmother's sisters shared school experiences with her. And so it's like, it's all very direct. And so, so with that being said, like, that story is not over yet. Like, to be honest, I think Here Lies Love was the beginning of that story.
That's powerful.
And so now here we are at the epilogue of what came of it, because it almost feels like it's gone full circle. And I think why the story is also still going, it's not just about Filipino people, it's about this country. Like the reason why it's so relevant is that it's about the rise of an authoritarian government. And how we said this all the time during Broadway, how the seduction of power is so easy to fall into, and just look around you, like it's here, like it's happening. And granted, we have some pretty amazing people out there who are pushing back against it and using every tool in the toolkit to curtail this. But you know, I talked to Americans about this who've seen the show, and they're like, oh wow, like yeah, like this is pretty crazy. Like I hope we can, you know, not end up like that. And I'm like, not end up or are already there. Take your own adventure. And then when you talk to Filipino people, they're like, oh, I've seen this. Like I know what happens at the end of this story. So like, good luck, Americans. Like you know, like hopefully you make the right choices. And I think that we can. And I also do think it's different because America is so massive. Like we have 3 levels of government. Like there's just so much. Like this is not, if it does go that direction, it's not going to happen in this administration. But you know, some pretty terrible things can happen though. Philippines is an island nation. There's only two levels of government, and they're basically the same level. And so it's just like it's easier to take that over. But with this, like, I think the optimism that I hold on to in this ongoing story is that it's going to be really effing hard for them to transform this country into Russia. You know, it's not, I am very skeptical of everyone kind of like the sky is falling. But it doesn't mean that we should sit back and wait it out. Like, no, go do your part, vote. But you know, watch shows like Here Lies Love, see what happens when things like that take over. And then hopefully it inspires you to have conversations. But anyway, that story authentically can be told by people in that culture because everybody has their personal story that links up to that event. And also because we're in a more, you know, I hate to bring up the word woke because it's so hot button, but it's true. Like we're in a more, you know, aware society nowadays that we can't just say, oh, you're Asian, just play that Asian. Like, oh, you're black, play that black person. Or like, you know, you're African American, you can play African. Like, you know, like all these things, you know, to expand it out beyond just Asian people. And even like with Caucasian people, like,
we understand the nuances and distinctions.
Yeah, you can't play any white person play an Eastern European person. Like it's a very specific kind of person. So yeah, we're not in the 90s anymore where some of that stuff slipped by. Like it's now, and you know, people want to see people from that culture. They want to know because the world is smaller in a way. Like it's more global now. You can get somebody from said culture to come here.
Absolutely.
It is not a 3-day boat ride to get to you can fly someone here.
You can fly someone in,
learn from them, and then give them
at least as a consultant, right?
a very good compensation package, and then send them home. It's like it's fine. So yeah. All right. I know we probably went off topic, but
no, that was beautiful. So as we bring this topic to a close, for the person who's listening, who is, we started this conversation around the topic of building and being a builder. Mm-hmm. For the person who's listening, who feels like they're building something and still feels like no one's really paying attention yet, whatever that looks like, whatever industry, what do you want them to hear from you?
Right off the top of my head is what you're doing is not in vain. Whatever you're building, whether it's in the entertainment industry like me or in tech or whatever, there's an audience for everything. Your people are out there. So if you're amongst a lot of people that aren't listening to you or, don't care about what you have to say, we now have amazing tools in the internet that can get your message and what you're doing out there. Start vlogging about it. Start TikToking about it. I know somebody who, he wasn't looking for any particular audience. He just was going through a health journey and posted every day and got a bunch of followers because people were like, oh, like, I want to watch this. That's me. So there is a way for you to find your supporters and your community for what you're building. It's out there. You just have to find the way that makes the most sense to take advantage of the technology at your fingertips. That is in most cases free. You don't have to pay a PR consultant to do this for you. You don't have to hire a manager or somebody. Like, you can do it on your own. It's going to be hard. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be, you have to want it and really strive for it and know that, it's going to be a while till you get to the glory road of like, oh, cool, I can look back and rest a little bit. It took me 10 years to get to that point. Like, we got to the 10th year of Latido, and I was like, okay, like we did something, and that was when I hit producing off Broadway, and then that's when my opportunity to Here Lies Love happened, all at the 10-11 year mark of producing Latido. And so yeah, it takes a while, no matter what industry, but just keep putting it out there, because you're going to attract, what's that phrase, like attracts like. As long as you keep putting it out there, what makes sense for it's going to come your way, and it'll happen. And I sound like a dating coach, but it's going to happen when you least expect it, right? Like, it's going to happen when you're not looking for it. And it's true. Like, I wasn't looking for off Broadway. That just happened, like, I was doing the work. Yes. But like, it was a writer that I had in a reading a long time ago who had this new play, and we did a reading, we did other things with it. And then like an opportunity came up where a theater was available for an off Broadway run. And we were like, all right, let's do it. And then we did it. And so done, added it.
Beautiful.
And it was on the closing night of that off Broadway show called Hazing You, that I got the phone call from Clint Ramos, who was one of the 2 Filipino lead producers of Here Lies Love. And we had a conversation. I was standing on 45th Street and 45th and 9th outside of the closing party venue. I think it's called Brazen Tavern in West Village, and in Hell's Kitchen. And we had a conversation, and I told him my story, and he was like, you sound great. I think you'd be a helpful part of this team. So you want to do this? And I was like, yeah. And so I came to the party.
Let's make it work.
And Zach, the writer of Hazing You, was like, so how was your phone call? And I was like, I think I work on Broadway now. I think that happened. I think Broadway literally called my phone, and that's what happened. And he was like, yeah. So yeah, it'll happen when it happens, and all in its own time. But I think the biggest part, and I say this to my management clients, you have to keep believing in what you have to offer. Because the moment you don't believe in yourself and you think what you're doing is stupid and you let self-doubt creep in, that's your downfall. It's over then. You're not, if you don't believe in it, other people aren't going to believe in it. So but yeah, your audience is out there, friends who are listening. You'll find them, and in the meantime, if you look like us, me and John, if you are API, you have community. I want to say, like, when I thought I didn't have anybody to reach out to, and then I met Reggie, and Reggie started introducing me to people. What I've learned, and now being on the opposite side of it, like, we want you to reach out. We want you to DM us on Instagram and, like, creepily find our email on LinkedIn and, like, do all this. We want you to reach out, and because it's the most exciting thing when somebody finds us and finds me and is like, I'm doing this. I think advice from you would be helpful.
Yes.
Like, do you want to have a virtual coffee, or do you want to meet up on whatever? So yeah, and that kind of full circle back to what I said at the top of the podcast, which is ask for what you want. Ask for what you want, and people will respond because they're waiting. We're waiting.
Yeah.
Like, we want to help because most of us didn't have what we're offering. Which is that hand, the hand from the ladder to, like, hey, come on up. Because we were the ones at the wall, underneath the glass.
Yeah.
We were like, hey,
yeah,
like, trying to get up there. And so, but it's all because we're a community-based culture. No matter what part of the diaspora you're from, we come from a community. Yeah. Like, we all rise together, like what you said earlier. And it's true. So don't let capitalism get you down.
I love that. Just as a recap of some of the biggest takeaways that I've had from this episode is, if there's no seat at the table that's right for you, go build your own table. It might take time.
Build your own chair.
Reach out. Yeah, build your own chair, build your own table. Yeah. Reach out to people. Don't be afraid. People will come. It might take a little bit longer than you might think, or it might not. It might come much quicker than you might think. People are looking for that kind of community. People are looking to support your ideas, your project, your mission, your vision, whatever it is. Don't be afraid to put it out there. Start small, build gradually, and you're going to get exactly that kind of community that you've always wanted and the kind of success that you want. Don Mike, thank you, for real. I mean, we have talked about the word authenticity today as a main, one of the big pillars. And, this is the kind of authentic conversation that I feel like this community is truly built for. And to anyone who's listening, if this hits something real, send it to your friends, send it to the AAPI dreamer, the Filipino American dreamer, the people who are seeking to be seen on those stages, a person in your life who's still waiting for someone to tell them that the room is theirs to build. Send it to them right now. They need it, and they're going to appreciate, because it's not always easy for us to find it on our own. I love the thing.
And sorry to cut you off, but also to add to that too, it's like, going back to the topic of being the only, like, sure, that happens, but I think the strategy now is, if you are the only in the room, don't be afraid of it, and then don't gatekeep it. I think that's the other part that we run into sometimes as well. It's what we have it in the Filipino community, but it's in a lot of communities. It's called crab mentality.
Yeah.
Like, don't become the only in a room and then live at the top of that mountain and, like, push rocks down toward everybody else so that they fall off the mountain. Like, like, if you get up there, that's great. Like, we're glad you're in the room. We're glad you can voice that opinion, but then throw a ladder down and help everybody else get up to that point. Don't make it like you're the one gatekeeper who can open the door for everyone, because, like, that's not helpful. So and then you get the reputation for doing that. So it's just to add to your final thoughts too, it's like, if you're the only, it's okay, but then don't stay the only. Open the door. Right? Like, let everyone else in.
Hold the door open. Send down the ladder.
Hold the door open, or, like, leave the doorstop in the door. Like, you don't have to open the door, but, like, keep it cracked. Like, we'll make our way in.
Invite everyone else in. Right. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you so much. This is why I love this community, because it is true. Like, it is in these kind of connections. We talked about networking, we talked about connections. Don't be afraid to reach out and support one another, even if it's on LinkedIn.
Even if it's on LinkedIn,
Even if it's on LinkedIn.
a post is just as valuable as buying a ticket. So, I may not want your ticket on LinkedIn, but like at least you posted about it. So I'll give you a, what's it called? Like a recommendation.
Yeah, yeah, an endorsement. LinkedIn
Right,
can't even have regular language like a recommendation. That be an endorsement. Oh God. Oh,
Yeah, it
man,
just makes it so not fun. Like the work already is not fun. Like, why do we turn it into a social media site?
Dude, I love this conversation. I so appreciate you once again, as always. This is where it is that community shines. As always, when we rise together. And once again, Don Mike, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing all of your experience and wisdom. We look forward to hearing more. And how do people find you if they want to reach out and DM you?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I love sharing knowledge and just talking, and this was so fun. And if people want to reach out to me, I'm on Instagram. You can reach out to me personally, or you can reach out through my company, DMHM Productions, on there. I'm Don Mike Mendoza was my direct account. You can also just go to my website, dmhmproductions.com, and like all the ways to reach out to me are there too. And if you're looking for a manager, I'm looking for talent. So, hopefully I can help you and reach out.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And once again, this is Big Asian Energy. Share it with people, share it with your community, and I'll see you on the next one.